Welcome to the Glass Hardware Show, where expertise meets execution. Today, we're going to have the CEO of Pro Glass Solutions. He represents the journey many installers can relate to. Today's episode is From Installer to CEO, the evolution of an operator. All right, Joe, thank you very much for being with us today. It's a pleasure having you here. And let's start from the beginning. Tell us who you are, where you came from, how you got into the glass and glazing industry.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, IGT, for doing this for the glass business. This is a very important thing, subjects that you guys are bringing to the glass industry. So let's talk about it, and there will be good points for everybody, all the installers, glass companies, good things to talk about. My name is Diogo Pereira. I am originally from Brazil, and I'm from Pro Glass Solutions from Jacksonville, Florida, and we're expanding to Virginia Beach in Virginia. We got another location that we just started in last December in Melbourne, Florida.
Why Joe? I have always known you as Joe. I
Never heard about Diogo?
No, that's the first time.
Yeah, so Diogo is my real name from Brazil. But when I got here in US 24 years ago, it was hard to Americans to pronounce my name.
Yeah.
So I was like, Diogo, and they couldn't pronounce it right. And they were saying Joe at every time, So let's keep it Joe, let's keep it simple, and then I'll have good communication with Americans.
Awesome.
So that's the way they
really
started.
like that one. Let's make it simple.
Yeah.
And Joe, so how did you get into the glass industry?
Yeah, it started at 24 years ago too.
20.
So I had an opportunity. I came here to US as a exchange student at the time. And, life me brought into a glass business. I had an opportunity. I was working as an installer. I started as a helper. And then I worked in commercial industry before. So I stayed in commercial doing that for about 10 years, approximately. In 2008, then the crash in 2008, I started to reinvent myself. My wife was the only one provider at the house. The glass industry was low. Commercial jobs, they were low. And residential, everybody.
But wait, by 2008, you already had your business, or you were working to the company as an installer or helper?
Yeah, I was working as a subcontractor, doing all the labor work for a company in Jacksonville. So then,
but you were installing already,
correct?
Because you started as a helper, as in
yes.
Okay.
I started as a helper, and I developed myself, and I decided to actually open just the installing business. You know what I mean? Just doing the installation part.
But wait, I want to know. I want to know a little bit more. So you started as a helper.
Yeah.
And why you wanted to continue in the industry? Why? It was not just a job. Why you want to learn more about it? Tell me a little bit more about it.
Working as a helper, and I kind of loved the industry, glass, and having all the jobs done, people being satisfied with everything that we were doing. So that came, it was instigated to get more. I started to learn about brands, hardware brands, and others. Then I decided to, okay, I can do this on my own. I can start installing and providing, after all my experience that I had in all those years. That's why I started in 2008.
And now, tell me, because based on the context of the episode, from installer to your CEO to having your own company to having all that stuff, tell me a little bit more about how did you turn the things from being an employee, an installer in that company, and now running your business, running the show. There's any differences?
A lot of difference, yes.
Because learnings.
Yeah. So like I was telling you, in 2008, when I decided to go to residential, I've learned a whole new thing, because I never installed a shower door, or I never installed a railing.
So basically, when you started your own business,
yeah,
you completely change from commercial to residential.
Correct.
Okay.
But interior residential, there's a lot of difference between exterior residential and interior residential. You know, exterior residential, we're talking about windows, doors, stuff like that. But when you go interior, you go railings, shower doors, mirrors, wine cellars. So then I had to learn everything on my own. Be honest with you, I literally started and learned everything by myself.
Wow.
I did a lot of commercial storefronts, curtain walls before, but changing and switching to residential, I've learned with a little bit of the experience that I had with the commercial, but I installed my shower door by myself.
What was the first project you got?
Friend of mine, he called me one time and he said, in your eight, and he called me and said, "Do you do shower doors?" And I said, "Yes." Never done one. So come here and help me out with this customer. She's looking to do a shower door. He was a tile guy at the time, so a remodeler. And I went there and measured the shower. I tried to do everything that I could, doing because of the commercial background, and measure it. And then I went to the books. I started getting catalogs and reading the catalogs at the time.
But catalogs from suppliers.
Yeah.
Okay.
From suppliers. So, and at the same time, with the company that I was working before, I was asking questions. Look, I got a side job that I might need some glass from you. Can I buy it from you? So I went to them to buy my first glass.
Awesome.
And install my first shower door. It took me 8 hours to install the first shower by myself, but I did it.
Oh my God. Changing from commercial to residential, I mean, and having that first job of shower doors, something that you have never done before, I assume that you made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Can you share with us, I mean, one of those mistakes you remember, or you can, I don't know.
You know what Americans say, measure twice, cut once? Yes, it really works. You need to measure everything right. You need to know exactly what you're doing, because, we are talking about very minimal measurement on the shower door to be precise, to be perfect, and that's what a customer wants. They want to come to their shower. They want to look at the job that you did and look, it's a perfect job. So you need to learn from your mistakes as well. So
Yeah, no, and especially in frameless shower doors that you don't have, I mean, too much room for mistakes.
That's right. That's why you have to measure right, be right on the money, because it will cost you too. And you learn from those mistakes, because right now the size that the company is not just measuring, is separating your material, is ordering your glass, typing your numbers on a computer. We have a lot of chances of error, and we have to minimize those chances as much as you can. That's why you have to train your people right. You have to train your techs.
Oh, but that's a great point, because there's no kind of glass and glazing university, or there's not.
Right.
How did you learn, I mean, those things? Because I mean, you were coming from commercial, you were doing completely different stuff.
Yeah.
How do you learn all this stuff?
Just with the hands, get your hands on the job and making it happen. I've studied a lot, going on the books, looking at the drawings, looking at the cutouts, and learning from 16 to 16, getting those numbers close as possible to be perfect. That's what it minimizes your mistakes. You need to learn and study what you're doing. It's not just installing. It's not just it's installing a glass. You can install anything. You can build a furniture in your house, but if you don't read a book, you're gonna miss a part.
Awesome, man. You shift from being an installer in a company, being an employee. to now running your business. You were learning a new thing because you moved from commercial to residential. You were doing things that you didn't have the knowledge about,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you were building a company.
Yeah.
And I assume you were learning all the things on how to run the business.
We're still learning.
On
We learn every
how
day.
was that process? I mean,
Yeah, we're learning every day. Every day. My background before glass, I was in totally different industry. I was in college, I was studying something totally different than construction. I've learned with people a lot of stuff that I did. I learned I didn't go to college, to do what I do today, and including to run the business. So I trust in a lot of people, and I've learned with them, and I let everybody that works with me have a word of what we do together, because that helps you to build a business too. Build the business the way that they are feel comfortable working with, and you feel good to run the business with them.
and Joe, there are habits that you used to have that you still have now. I mean, or you have
Yeah.
evolved in a completely new person.
No, I have a lot of habits, and those are the one that really gets into a point that it's bad for me and bad for the company. What I mean with that is, because you know everything in the company, you know all the steps. I'm sorry, if you know all the steps in the company, and you want to know every single detail, but you have to trust on your people and let them do their work. Even though they're doing wrong, they will learn from that, and you expect, of course, that they will learn from that mistake. But if they are separating a wrong material, you can correct, or they will learn from that to separate the wrong material, as an example. So you let them do their job, but my problem is getting on their shoes sometimes and try to do myself. I gotta let them do their work.
Transitioning or transferring your knowledge to your team,
Yeah.
hiring people, let them make mistakes, things like that. Do you think it was the hardest of everything, or
It is hard because it hurts your pocket at the same time, you know? But you need to show them that what they're doing, we need to make it better. We need to improve the system. We need to learn from that and learn, and don't let it happen again.
so do you think being a great installer or knowing your things wasn't enough to scale your business to what what you have today?
Just installing,
I mean, being a great installer, knowing your thing.
the glass business, if you're a good installer, sometimes you're not a good businessman. Being just installer, you know how to deliver a product, you know how to make a customer happy because you're delivering it, but run people, run business, run financial, it's
that's
not
total
for an
difference.
installer. You know, it's a whole different game, and that's why you need people then to work with you. Because if you know how to install and you try to run everything, it's tough.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah, and understanding cost, understanding margins,
Yeah.
understanding overheads. I mean, a lot of things that
sometimes the installer don't know about that.
Yeah.
He just know how to deliver it and install. Get a hardware, get a piece of glass, carry it inside, install it properly, do a nice bead of silicone. That's what they do now. That's what the installer knows how to do it.
Joe, so now you were telling me that you're opening more locations, and
Yeah.
but at the beginning you were telling me that 2008 was kind of a hectic time. I mean, and
Yes.
you were about to tell me a little bit about that and comparing 2008 to now. Let's try to connect those things.
2008, where here in the US, they were not doing pretty good, So we had
Yeah,
to,
especially for your construction.
yes,
And
all the industry, they pretty much stopped, and we had to reinvent ourselves.
all right, so that was a tough time. now that 2026, or when you started scaling your business? I mean, opening more locations, hiring more people, and being what Pro Glass Solutions is now, is today.
Sometime on that 2008 into 2015, I started, you know, doing some helping people with some glass and also in the commercial side too. So, but when I decided to make the total switch and stop working on commercial was in 2015 when I opened Pro Glass.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So Pro Glass Solutions were born in around 2015.
15. Yes.
What would you say that it's a non-negotiable in terms of quality for Pro Glass Solutions today?
Not negotiable. Okay.
What does non-negotiable quality look like at Pro Glass Solutions today?
I think trust. I think it's one of the very important things, especially if you're growing your business. You need to trust in people. You need to trust who you're working with and who your installer too. You need to trust on the guy to do a good quality of work, to be in somebody else's house, for example. There's a lot of stuff inside of a house that you need to trust on your employee, trust your installer to, you know that he's a good person. So there's a lot of ways to think about trust in your financial. Your company runs money and runs purchases. You need to trust on your people.
Do you think, or what do you think separates a company that gets referred from a company that doesn't?
Today's day, quality and customer service.
Do you think trust is part of that as well? I mean, because you were mentioning trust inside of your organization, but from the customer to the company to Pro Glass Solutions, having that trust or building that trust is also something that
You build
diffuse with the referrals.
Yeah, well, we need to build a good relationship in between the contractor and you. You know, and we do have a lot of contractors that work with us, and they do trust in our service. They do trust in our people. They know that we're gonna deliver good, and they know that we're gonna do a good job. So
And
they
how
trust in
how
our
do you
service.
think you build that trust with your customers, with your with the people you work with? I mean,
With all the contractors that we work with, being on site, be with them on in every job, having someone from our team, giving enough attention for them to get the trust on you.
you just mentioned something that I mean opens my mind, and is you install, you're doing installations as well, or now
Sometimes
you're
if I
just
have
running
to,
the business?
no, that's what I said in the beginning. It's a problem that I have that I should just let my guys do it. That sometimes I need
So
to
you
go and have
sometimes you
yes,
jump and
it
start
turns
like
into a
installing
problem to
and
myself.
what about the measuring and things like that?
do some measuring.
You still
Yeah.
on the field
Yes.
sometimes.
Hmm. Like I was installing a shower door to my wife's cousin. Last week we were doing an installation there, and we were talking about the business, and we were talking, talking about everything. And one thing that they said, that people like to see the owner. You know, they like to, see Joe on site.
And you were
And sometimes you have to be on site. Yeah, sometimes a lot of contractors, when I started, they still with me, and they want to see me. They call me, and they have my cell phone. They say, Joe, can you help me with this? Joe, because they trust. They know that we're gonna be there, that I'm gonna be there involved. Even though if they don't talk to me, they call my office, but they know that they are aware of everything that's going on.
Joe,
Yeah.
we were reading, or I was reading some of the reviews of your customer. You were mentioning reviews,
Yes.
and some of those reviews were about professionalism and thinking outside the box. Can you elaborate a little bit? I mean, what they mean about thinking out of the box?
You have to present yourself, in your company and your guys. They need to be, you know, on site and present themselves pretty good, professional. You need to dress up nice. They need to have a brand that you need to represent. They represent Pro Glass. So
Absolutely.
being first of all being pro.
Well, that was good. I mean,
Yeah, you need to be a pro to work with us. You need to understand that you're installing today. You can be a measuring technician later. You can, maybe be a partner. I open doors.
so that first I mean, that first look, the appearance, is one of the things, or from where it starts, the professionalism.
You got to be prepared. You got to respond your text message. You got to be in contact with your customer. You got to be there for them for whatever they need, for a simple question. For what kind of handle I'm getting. You need to answer all of that.
But I assume you have came up with something. I mean, because I know there are crazy requests out there. I mean, from customers that want things crazy that you have never done before.
Yeah.
Have you, I don't know, come up with something
Yeah.
that was actually out of the box? I mean,
Yeah. We recently did a job for a contractor of ours. We did a whole elevator shaft with glass. He was a general contractor, and he built just in infrastructure. So he put beams on every side, and the elevator in the center. And he told us, "Look, you guys need to put glass all the way around. How are you gonna do that?" And simple stuff could turn into hard stuff, and we did it.
did you use products that you have never used before in that project, or
No, actually not. Actually, what's the use? You want to know? I use simple things, but it was when you talk about elevators, all four sides with glass, and you can actually see the elevator going up and down with very minimal hardware. It's a frameless elevator shaft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is. It's pretty cool.
And you were doing like one whole piece from the bottom to the top?
Yeah,
or
we had some transitions. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the glass was mounted to the side, on each side,
Awesome.
on clamps.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that was a good project. Yeah.
Joe, if you could give one piece of advice to an installer who really wants to grow, who really wants to start running his own business, what would be that piece of advice?
It's not easy to run a company. Not every installer can be a businessman. Let's put it this way. Sometimes installers just know how to install it. You gotta focus. You gotta learn. You gotta learn how to be a businessman, because installing a shower door, can be easy, but when you start running people, when you start running contractors and customers, you need to you need to learn a little bit of everything, and hire people, deal with employees. It's another thing that you need to learn. It's a good thing for the installers to learn how to, and see what the glass business is about. There's other stuff out there that you can also learn from associations. They do some materials that you can learn.
Yeah, because not only the installation part, but also everything that it's behind. I mean, behind that, permits. I don't know. I mean, reading
Prints.
prints, layouts, like numbers. a lot of things. I mean, it's not just keep installing and
No,
selling at whatever, I mean, cost.
you need to build systems. You need trust in people. You need to have a good product. You need to do deliveries on time. You need to do a right installation.
You said something very interesting, and it's about systems. And I think that's very important for companies, like building systems that help the company run by itself,
Yes.
not only or not necessarily with you all the time there.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you for the secret sauce of Glass Solutions,
Yeah.
but what kind of systems do you have in place that you could share with the installers?
Systems with people. What a manager needs to do, what your warehouse guy, what he needs to do, he needs to get ready for your installers. Your installers needs to get in the car with all the tools. Your shop guy needs to separate all the materials, get them ready for the next day. So system like those, they need to understand what they need to do, and knowledge on your products, on your what you deliver.
Awesome. And Joe, now as a CEO running the company, what do you think are the biggest decisions that have the biggest impact on the long-term success for the company?
I think time is it's a good one, because I've been an installer before. And if you don't know how to manage your time, then you can hurt later.
So
Can be
you
hurt
would
later.
say that probably like knowing where to invest your time would
Yes.
be a decision that may help the company succeed or take it to a failure.
Yes, because if you're investing too much of a time in one subject in your company, other one you can be failing in other ones. Or you need to focus on what you're supposed to be doing in your business to make it grow more. And if you cannot do everything, delegate for those that you can trust.
Yeah.
And
So
they will help
delegation
you.
and how to invest your time, it would be
Yeah,
great decisions that you have to make.
exactly like I said before. You need to trust on the people that you're hiring to
Awesome.
make your company grow, and to
Joe, we're having a great time today, but and one of the sections that we have on the podcast are like rapid fire questions. So I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and you're gonna give me your answer like as fast as you can.
okay,
All right?
let's do it.
So one habit every installer should develop.
Preparation. An installer needs to know what they are delivering.
One mistake that hurts businesses long term.
Underpricing work.
One mindset shift that changed everything for you.
Understanding that building a business, it's a building people too.
Awesome. Those good questions, good answers. Joe, thank you very much, man, for being with us today, for sharing your story, for sharing everything. I mean, lived and learned inside of this amazing industry, the glass and glazing, and well, for being part of this project.
All right. Thank you,
Awesome, man.
Gustavo. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity and to share all my stories. And thank you for doing this for the glass business. This is a very important subject.
Thank you, because I mean, that tells that in this industry and any other industries, I mean, there are no shortcuts, and there are things that we have to learn about leadership, about standards, about long-term thinking. So having people like you sharing those stories is great for us and for the industry. Thank you, man. To everyone listening or watching, if this episode connects with you, make sure to subscribe to the Glass Hardware Show so you don't miss what's coming next. Real stories, real decisions, and real lessons from glazers to glazers.